Hey nerds, nerdiest of all nerds. We're broadcasting live from our mom's basement because we're nerds. Welcome to
Yeah.
this week's episode of the Brief Nerdity Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan, and this week with us
Uh,
we have Trent,
Hey, how's everybody? How's it going?
and that wonderful laugh there is our friend Nick, also known as Awesome
hey,
Alan.
hey, how are you all today?
My brain is fried from a sinus infection, so I'm a little bit not here today, so I apologize.
Any more fried than Nick was a couple weeks ago?
What?
Different kind of fried.
Yeah.
Fr- fried eggs.
Fried eggs are delicious.
How's everybody doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I am also doing good. It's Monday,
I'm
but
peachy.
that's okay. Well, you do live in Florida, Nick, so that's
Yep.
to be expected.
It's
You gave away.
pretty fair weather for about another month, and then back to sweaty time.
Yay.
Florida, Sweaty Time Incorporated.
Oh, it's terrible.
I wanted to make a special note that this is the first time that we have a podcast with no Star Wars on the agenda, everybody.
Woo!
So if you come to us exclusively for our Star Wars nudes,
Or
nudes.
aw.
It's the latest. Are you sure there's no Star Wars news? Like they had that. I saw this
Stay tuned
logo
to the end.
of
There may be Star Wars nudes.
Star Wars nudes or Star Wars news?
I meant to say news, but I said nudes on accident. It's kind of my thing now, like San Francisco.
San
I have to do it-
Francisco.
I have to do it once a podcast. To
Okay, I said
what's-
everybody instead of everybody, so that's fine.
Wookiees
Also
gone
biggest-
wild.
also, biggest fan of 2014 video game movies.
Shut up.
Speaking of video games, but not really movies, did you guys see the news about Square Enix and its rights to the Marvel universe?
I did.
What do you think about that?
I'm worried, but somewhat excited.
What makes you worried?
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of everything that Square Enix has done, and I love Marvel a lot. So it could either be really, really good or kind of meh. So I'm hoping it's really, really good. I don't know. I'm just worried about any franchise that I like,
Well, it's to be expected.
even,
What
even if there's no reason.
Square Enix properties do you not like?
I don't have any off the top of my head that I can tell you.
All right. Well, they have specifically said that the developers they have on it right now are the developers of the new
IDOS,
X game.
Montreal.
Yeah. And Crystal Dynamics, the makers of the Tomb Raider reboot, which the new Deus Ex reboot and the new Tomb Raider reboot were all four of them were fantastic games in my opinion.
Okay.
So, I mean, I would also be worried if like the same team that they have on Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts were making it, because then we wouldn't see any games until 2030. But
Yeah, there's that too.
the fact that they have some good talent behind them, I think, good Western talent for the Western property, I think bodes well for them.
Well, I mean, so I'll tell you my biggest worry is actually kind of leading into the second part of the news involved in this story is that I'm not thrilled with how they're treating Deus Ex right now.
Are you a big Deus Ex fan?
I've played not the newest one, but the one before, Human Revolution.
Oh, I didn't know you played that.
Yes. And I really, really enjoyed it, and I keep meaning to get Mankind Divided when I'm kind of caught up on my other stuff, but I don't know if I want to now.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Square Enix basically announced that that entire franchise is on hold, quote unquote, because their sales didn't reach what they were hoping for, or some bullcrap.
And what exactly does that mean for Square? I think they were the same people that came out and were like, if Tomb Raider doesn't sell 15 million copies, we're pulling the plug on it.
Yeah.
And of course, that's never going to happen because it's not GTA or Call of Duty
Right.
or Wii Sports.
Do you think
what do you
those kind of
think, Nick?
expectations are getting just completely overblown?
I think it just depends on the company. I mean, like I mentioned several weeks ago about how that kind of happened with Dead Space, where EA was like, "Oh, it's going to sell 10 million copies, or we're not making a Dead Space 4," and then here we are with no Dead Space 4,
Yeah.
5 years later, and Square Enix, I don't know, like sometimes I'm just going to let Square Enix be Square Enix. They could sit here and let Final Fantasy 15 be in development for almost 10 years, and then release it, and they're obviously going to make a Final Fantasy 16, but then here we go, sorry, Deus Ex didn't sell a billion copies, but we're not making another one now. So I really wonder what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, what are the sales numbers of Final Fantasy 15? Has it?
I'm not sure. Nick, why don't you give us your thoughts while I look those up?
Well, I think it might be a good move. In the past, Marvel hasn't had the best track record for video games. It's been in the hands of like Activision and you remember LJN? They make those NES games in the past.
Yeah, I remember those.
The Marvel games just haven't been in the hands of capable developers, and I think that handing it over to someone like Square might be a breath of fresh new air, because like a lot of the developers in the past, I feel like there just hasn't really been good storytelling or really good gameplay even, because lots of times you just get thrown in like some sandbox and you just got tasks to do, and I feel like it's really underwhelming for like comic book heroes. And I think it's the step in the right direction. Now, whether or not the games will be fun, I guess, is still up in the air. But I look forward to it. Because, I mean, I know that Square and Eidos. I think Square bought Eidos in the past, and I mean didn't Eidos put out the first Arkham game? Or they were with it with
Rocksteady.
Well, yeah,
I think you're right. I think Eidos was part of that somewhere. I don't remember exactly.
I don't know if it was specifically Eidos Montreal, which is the guys behind, the upcoming Avengers game. But I'm hoping for the best. I think they need to just step out of like button tapping combos and just have something new. I like superhero games where you get to create your own superhero, so I wouldn't mind that kind of direction. Or like in Mass Effect, you get to create your own, Commander Shepard, and just kind of have that kind of customization in a superhero game. I don't even care if like Captain America and all of them are just kind of make cameo appearances and whatnot. It's just
that brings me back to the what was that game? Hero or Champions? We played.
Yeah, the old MMO that we used to play.
Yeah.
Oh, Champions Online. I remember that.
Yeah, that was a fun game. It's still going. I logged into it about 6 months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just for funsies. I played for about a day.
Is it free to play?
Yeah. It and Star Trek Online, pretty much everything they own, Neverwinter, are all owned by that same company, and they're all free to play.
Nice. Also, Nick, DC Universe Online kind of sounds up your alley too, with creating a superhero and then just kind of having DC characters star around you. But
have a narrative that is just, you keep it, you can enjoy it for a good 8 to 12 hours or something like that. Just make it really engaging and fun. You see what you need to do to make just a Marvel comic great for movie sakes. Like I think that Guardians of the Galaxy game by Telltale looks interesting. That's coming out in the future, right?
Yeah, it's coming out I think this summer, probably to coincide with the movie a bit.
Yeah, that looks fun.
Just get really.
Yeah, I can see what
I
you
would
mean,
like a game focusing on storytelling, because if you're engaged with a game, then
yeah, because Activision has only like basically done cash cow, quick buck, licensed games. But I feel that with Square, and these two studios, at least we know of behind it, Eidos Montreal and Crystal Dynamics, that they have good talent and they have experience telling good stories while having engaging gameplay at the same time. So
yeah, and from what little we've seen in the trailer that was released, it looks like it's kind of post the glory days of the Avengers, because they use the word reassemble, and it's talking about like the show, like the hammer and the shield and the ground among like some ruined like what looked like it could have been the Avengers Tower around it. I don't know if that's what it is or not, but so it could be a really interesting like post Avengers storyline, like about rebuilding the Avengers and you get to pick your new team type stuff. I think that'd be fun.
yeah, do we have any idea if the games are going to take place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe or not?
I haven't heard anything about that.
It. I don't know.
I'd be surprised.
Who knows what? Sorry.
No, I would be surprised if it did, to be honest.
Yeah, that would kind of restrict their playground and
they don't even like giving their major characters to their own TV shows. So.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
I guess it's whatever Marvel has planned right now, because Infinity War, like I've read Infinity War, and it's like if what's going to happen is going to happen, then they're just opening up to even more stuff. So, I mean, this game could be post. I mean, it could still perfectly well be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, especially since they do a very good job of just connecting it all. That's what I think keeps all of their franchises really strong, is that they're really bent on keeping this all contained and just like, okay, this movie goes with this movie, this story goes with this story.
Here's hoping. The makers of Ratchet and Clank are also making a Spider-Man game exclusively for PlayStation 4. I have really high hopes for that as well.
Yeah, that looks really, really good. I'm excited for that one.
You might get yourself a PS4, Trent. Hint, hint.
I know. I need to get myself one. Maybe I'll buy yours.
How's the Ratchet and Clank remake boot?
It was really, really, really good. That being said, I never played the original PS2 one. I started with the PlayStation 3 ones for Ratchet and Clank. But it felt, I went and rewatched like some videos of the PS2 one. It basically felt like the original Ratchet and Clank game, just mixed with the kind of style of the PS3 ones, with the graphics of a Pixar movie, so to speak.
Yeah, my ex Ben loved the originals, and he was super excited about the remake, and he loved it too. So I mean, he was just overwhelmingly positive about it.
Mr. Zircon is here to kill you. I'm a Mr. Zircon fanboy. What could I say?
He was the best,
really good.
Nice. So would you guys want to see the new Marvel game be in the style of like a Tomb Raider game, or would you want to see it more like tactical, like XCOM? What would you do if you could design your own Avengers game? What would it be like?
How different are the newer Tomb Raider games compared to the older ones? I guess
because
I've never played any of them. I played Tomb Raiders 1 through 4, but I never played any of the new ones.
They're very different. Think of like the shooting gameplay of like an Uncharted game mixed with like
Gears.
No, I would say more like Batman Arkham Asylum.
Okay.
Kind of like, it's kind of open world, but kind of not really. And there's collectibles around to find, and it's also kind of a Metroidvania style, to where like you go through the game, you can't access a certain area, but then you get a new item or weapon of some sort, and then it lets you access that new area because of it. And just amongst that, it has shooting mechanics and climbing and stuff like that. So they're very, very good games. To kind of go with what I'd want to see, is a game to where you could, I want to say, select one of maybe like 6 Avengers to play, but you could select to play them in any order, but you do end up playing through all 6 characters throughout the game. Like maybe each character has their own like 3 or 4 hour campaign that maybe shows like their perspective on an event happening, and like maybe a choice or something you do in one affects the other or something like that. I think that would be really cool, but I think that'd be difficult because they'd have to basically create 6 different complete styles to play if you're playing as the Hulk or playing as Hawkeye or playing as Thor or something like that.
That would be really intense. I'm a huge fan of the XCOM style, like top-down strategy
Please
thing.
no.
Oh, but I likes it. I think it'd be really fun to have like a team of superheroes on the field, and each one has different abilities. And obviously, it wouldn't be like XCOM in the fact that all your soldiers die a lot. But
Thor is dead. Congratulations.
uh, wait, the movies or the actual character?
Not a character like in the game, like he's died, and it's like, oh, Thor's dead, and so when they make the next movie, because it's all in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they're like, sorry guys, too many players killed Thor off in the game, so he's
Yeah,
not going to be in Avengers 4.
I could totally see them doing that. Yeah, that's going to be a thing.
But go ahead, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I pretty much said it all. So yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting.
I'm hopeful. I'll say that. I'm probably too negative out the gate, but
well, there's nothing to see right now, but I'm sure once that first trailer hits and we get an idea of what it's going to be, then we're all going to be like, bah! Going all fanboy here on the podcast. So,
right. I'll be honest. I don't know if I like. This is just an advertising thing for me. Like reassemble. It doesn't. I don't know. I don't like it. It makes me think of 25 and not the Avengers.
Disassemble.
Reassemble!
Like, anyway, that's just a personal little thing.
That just harkens back to the comics. I think it's the reason why they've avoided saying it in the movies so far, just because of.
But they just say assemble, right? They don't say reassemble.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of all the same lines.
Yeah. Anyway.
So speaking of trailers, did you guys watch the new Mass Effect trailers this week?
Did I watch the new Mass Effect trailers? Come on.
I don't know. You seem kind of shady like that.
You okay?
Did I? I did.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
What'd you think, Nick?
That looks promising. What I think, dang,
Especially as someone who never finished Mass Effect 3.
well, I still need to finish Mass Effect 3, but it seems like it's taking. Is anything? I guess I should ask. Is anything like referencing anything
We
that
don't
happened
know
previously?
yet, so you could ask me anything about Andromeda that we know so far, and I probably know it. But basically, the Andromeda Initiative, it leaves Earth between Mass Effects 2 and 3. So presumably, all the events of Mass Effect 1 and 2 has happened in these characters' worlds, and they know about it. But obviously, nothing Mass Effect 3 and later happens, so they have no idea of the Reapers, at all, except maybe a select few. I think it'd be silly to have Cerberus not involved in some form or fashion, because Cerberus was obviously around and kicking and strong, and so for them not to have some kind of fingers on the Andromeda Initiative would be weird. But if a character is in Mass Effect 3, they're not going to be in Andromeda because they're on Earth during that time, or doing whatever they were doing in Mass Effect 3. So that's kind of the timeline of when it starts, and then obviously they're in a cryo sleep or something like that for 600 years, to our timeline wise, long after the end of Mass Effect 3. But as far as those characters are concerned, only the events of Mass Effect 1 and 2 happened, if that makes sense.
So there's a funny moment. You mentioned that whole 600 years thing. There's a line in the trailer that I found really entertaining where he's like, "We've been waiting 600 years for this." I was like, I mean, you went to sleep, and then you woke up, and then you're there. So it's like you didn't really have to wait a long time.
I think that was a nod to the audience for how long we've had to wait for this Mass Effect game.
That's funny. I like that.
That's exactly what I thought. I'm like, I've been waiting 600 years for my sequel to Mass Effect.
Waiting what, like 3 years? How long's it been?
Been 5.
5 years.
2012.
It's not that bad. Not as bad as Final Fantasy. Oh,
touche.
But no, I think it looks really great. They show off. I don't know if it's the entire main cast, but you get to see both the human companions. You get to see the new. What is her name? The one everyone's really excited about. Crap, I'm blanking.
Crap, I'm blanking too.
The female Garrus.
Vetra.
Yes. She looks cool, and I'm excited to to meet more of the cast. The Solarian shuttle pilots, I'm curious if they have a cool story. Like, there's lots of interesting things that I can't wait to like dig into and meet these people.
I look forward to romancing Vetra. So
I bet you do.
if she's female Garrus, then I'm down. If she's anything like Cassandra in Dragon Age, I might be like, maybe.
If I can just, I'm a little curious about how your teammates work, because in one trailer it shows that the whole crew is a bunch of humans, right? And then in another trailer you have you have a Solarian, you had a female what's Garrus's race again called?
Turians.
Turians. I was about to say Valerian.
But
I wonder if you're going to be able to like customize your entire crew. Like if you could have either a Solarian, Krogan, Turian, and then or you could just like choose some pre-made ones, because in the all human trailer it had home dude and then his like children, but I didn't see the children in the other trailer.
I can answer all these questions whenever you're ready.
I was gonna be like, I was gonna sit back and
well, I think I think I had an interesting idea, but what is the actual answer?
Sorry, I'm way too much of a Mass Effect fanboy. So the dad is your character's dad, and he has two
Papa
twins.
Ryder.
Yep.
Dad!
We call him Papa Ryder. His twin son and daughter are Scott and Sarah Ryder, and that's who you play with. It's more akin to Fallout, to where
Play as, not play with.
well, it depends, you know. It's like Fallout, where at the beginning of Fallout you just chose if you're going to play as the husband or wife, and then the other character would be involved in the story somehow. It's kind of be the same thing here. You're going to choose if you play as the male or the female twin, and then the other twin is still going to be there and still be a character in the story for how long we don't know yet. And then we have Cora Harper, which is the female human that they kind of mentioned, and she is the second in command to Daddy Ryder. It's probably not going to stay that way. You know, I'm assuming that at some point something's going to happen to him and you're going to take over. And then we have Liam, the new black guy. He has double Omni blades, which is awesome.
That's pretty sick.
Yep. And then you have Drac, the Krogan. And then PB, the Asari. Vetra, the Turian, and then Calo Jath, one of the new races they showed in that trailer that look kind of like Twi'leks. Like cat Twi'leks is kind of what I like to think of them as. So those are all the known party members at this point, but I don't think they have any way of customizing your party members. And there's all story reasons why it happens, how all of you get together. Obviously, each arc in the game has mostly houses a single race of the main council races. Asari, Turian, Solarian, and Human. But a lot of people arrive there earlier and stuff like that, but I won't go too much into it because I don't want to bore anybody with super long details, and especially if they may know it or not. But yeah, that's kind of the basics. Did you want to continue with your thought, Nick?
I hope you can just customize.
You love your customization.
I don't.
You want to make your own superheroes. You want to make your own.
Everyone else's characters are so boring looking. I like to just make my character look like anything. That's what kind of drew me with the first Mass Effect, because I could just make the character look like myself, or make him look like the most ridiculous looking being in the world, and just see him interacting with all these stupid aliens. So that's what I like most, and just all the whole building relationships and whatnot. That's what drew me in Mass Effect from the beginning. And I think what kind of drew me away from the Mass Effect series for a little bit was just Mass Effect 3 just didn't start off strong for me, because all the characters from 2 were either just scattered about and you just kind of started from scratch. And I was kind of hoping for it just to pick up right off from where 2 ended, but it's different. So, yeah, I would just like I would just like more customization. Like,
And that makes sense. One reason why that happened in 3 is because I realized in 2 is that when you have that many characters, it kind of makes it harder in the development process to give them good characters, or I guess, or really dive deep into them as well as they could, which is why they decided to tone the number of characters down in Mass Effect 3, and also in this one, we only know of your 6 party members so far, and they said that, I don't remember the exact number, but I think they said that like each character party member in Andromeda has like 3 to 5 times the amount of dialogue than the person with the most dialogue had in Mass Effect 3. Just kind of hinting to the fact that these are going to be good characters, or at least characters you'll be able to build really good relationships with. And we've all know that the human characters are pretty much the least interesting characters. Trent, you may think Caden's the exception there, but that's the way I've always felt about it. And kind of same thing with Cora and Liam. I'm like, okay, cool, but I'm more interested in getting to know Vetra and PB and Drac. Drac, the Krogan. Why is he dressed the way he is? I don't know if you noticed, but he has like bones all over his armor. Is he just going to be kind of a standard Krogan, or is there going to be something different there? PB does not seem sorry at all. She seems more like carefree rebel-ish kind of thing. Vetra, we don't know much about at all. Then, of course, Kalojath, the new alien species we know nothing about right now. So there's a lot of potential to be had there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what Mass Effect always does really well is developing their like supporting cast around your main character, because you'll still be able to customize both Ryder siblings and the Ryder parent, so you'll be able to make them look however you want, at least from what we've been told so far. So at least you'll get to play around with a little bit with that.
And you can customize the new Mako, aka the Nomad.
I liked how all the characters were all hooked up with the Sam, was his name?
Yep.
I thought that was pretty cool. I wonder if if your characters aren't like in good shape, or if that affects how the ship, like they're gonna have to have some kind of probably ship little mini game, probably not as bad as like Kingdom Hearts with the gummy ships, but freaking Lego ships. But
there were gummy ships, not Lego ships.
Gummy ships. That's even
Come on,
better.
dude.
But they have to just throw in a good system with the vehicles, because there's always room open for that to have a really fun game. If you have just like fun sequences where when you're on a ship, it's not just you're just trying to get through it to get to the next the next story or the next part in the plot. Because in Kingdom Hearts, it was just like you just went to one world from the other, driving the gummy ships and shooting at freaking shapes. Like I want there to be a lot put into the space travel, as much as being on ground and whatever gameplay mechanics they throw in for that.
See, you're a Star Fox fan, so you should love the gummy ship
The gummy ship sucked though. There was nothing to it. It was just fly to one freaking world to the other. It was just like,
and I don't even know how to describe it, but like the cursor, like it wasn't precise. Like every pixel that it moved was like super large. Like, does that make sense at all? Like you just move the joystick slightly and like it would jump like almost, I don't know, like I felt like I could never aim precisely, and that was something that Star Fox
felt like a game it felt like some like Math Blaster game, or some game you'd play like, I don't know, PC
divide
learning
these
game.
numbers to destroy the gummy ships. Yeah,
exactly.
And I don't know if either of you know this, but the Nomad, the new Mako in Mass Effect, it was pretty much either designed or they had a lot of assistance from EA's Need for Speed team. And so don't know how much you like Need for Speed, but I would hope that the mechanics of the driving are polished and well done.
Well, I heard the movie's great.
We got the Need for Speed team.
And before we move on from Mass Effect, I was going to point out something. Maybe you guys don't know this, but because especially, like I said, I'm a fanboy. I've read all the Mass Effect books, all the comics, everything. But they mention,
Hooray.
the second command, Cora, her last name is Harper. Do either of you know what that means in the Mass Effect universe, or what could potentially mean? I guess I should say.
Yes, but you can go and explain it.
No, you go ahead.
Yes.
I've been explaining too much Mass Effect. Do you know it all, Nick?
I agree with Trent. You should explain it.
Okay. Well, Harper is her last name, and that is a shared last name of another character in the Mass Effect universe that the games never gave out his real name, but the comics and the novels have, and that is the Elusive Man. His real name is Jack Harper. So,
which is why when you were saying earlier that you think Cerberus is involved, I'm like, is that what he's talking about? Is he going to bring this up? Like, are we waiting until this is not just a rumor? Like, what's going on?
well, we still don't know anything, and in fact, a lot of people will argue against it because I think there was a tweet from a producer back that said something about like, Cerberus really won't make an appearance or something. It was very vague, the tweet, but people were like, no, they said that Cerberus is going to be around, but even then I was like, what, someone who had that much power and resources during the time of Mass Effect 2 and to not have a part of this Andromeda initiative is a little bit far-fetched, though people may be really, really sick of Cerberus from Mass Effect 2 and 3 and just kind of want to kind of leave that behind. So I kind of understand why, but I think this last name, it speaks a lot and what is potentially there, because I don't know if either of you remember this. Again, I'm just dropping my mic of Mass Effect knowledge, but James Vega in Mass Effect 3, his original name was Saunders. But then when people pointed out that the main character from the books, Kaylee Saunders, and she makes an appearance in Mass Effect 3, they're like, oh, is she related or anything like that? And then they immediately basically changed his name to James Vega to kind of make him distinct. And so the fact that they've shown Cora Hopper's name, with people already knowing and pointing out that, hey, that's the Elusive Man's same last name. They haven't really said anything or changed it yet, but here we are 49 days from launch and that could still happen. But I don't know. It's interesting. I'm excited, to say the least.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit obsessed. I wonder if anyone was mad that we made it the game of the year in the Brief Nerdity Awards.
Well, yeah. I just thought it was funny that you were able to get that in there again this year.
What were you gonna say, Nick?
I guess it's I mean, it came out in 2016, so you gotta just.
Yeah,
but
a whole bunch of new people might have played it this year.
I guess you got to look at the games released in 2016 and just compare them and just think like, did I enjoy these games as much as I did Mass Effect? And Mass Effect came out this year, so I can just pick it again.
Well, it's also kind of just a continuing joke. Like, one thing I love about watching Donkey's Game of the Year every year is that Super Mario Bros. 2, it wins every year, and so that's just part of the joke. And so, we've done 3 award shows so far. The first one being in 2010 when Mass Effect 2 legitimately won our Game of the Year. But then, we decided to do that joke in 2011 when Mass Effect 2 came out on PS3, and Mass Effect 2 for PS3 is the winner. So I thought, with us reviving the Gamer Rant / Brief Nerdy Awards, and the fact that coincidentally this year that Mass Effect 2 was finally released on backwards compatibility, people have been asking for it, since backwards compatibility was first announced as a thing. People have been waiting for Mass Effect 2, because the original Mass Effect was a launch title for backwards compatibility, but not 2 or 3. And so when finally they announced that Mass Effect 2 was going to be on backwards compatibility, everyone was excited. So I thought that was the perfect opportunity to give that joke one last time until maybe the remastered edition comes out or something.
Yeah, what if they release it on the Switch or something?
Yep, that's going to win Game of the Year again.
Is it going to beat out Andromeda, though?
Well, if it comes out the same year, but we'll see.
Mass Effect 2 for the Android.
What was that thing called? The .com that had like Resident Evil 2 on it?
Oh, Gamecom?
Gamecom, yeah.
The .com.
The .com.
The Gamecom.
Made by Tiger Electronics, makers of handheld pictures that you play.
So what do you guys think of the Game Awards overall? What was your favorite award out of all of them? If I'm going to start us off, I personally
I
probably have to
like.
go with No Man's Sky.
There, you took mine.
Uh,
I like that. I like that.
I don't know.
I liked Trent's his take of saying "No Man's Sky." No Man's Sky. I like how he said it.
I liked how you said the Twilight Princess award.
HD remake, super
Ultra
Super Smash. That was pretty good.
I mean, the reason why we went with that award is just because, like, I don't know, I'm gonna put on my hipster hat here, but like No Man's Sky like never really looked great to me, and so like I took a lot of evil happiness from watching everyone cry about how terrible it ended up being. I loved watching the train wreck, so to speak. So that's why that one was perfect for me.
You're a mean person.
I know.
It was all just like overblown sandbox, right?
Way
Yeah,
overblown.
It was touted as like the second coming of gaming, and that it was an infinite universe and infinite things to do, and stuff
so
like
many
that.
things to do.
It was
you
just
can walk over here and look at this rock.
pretty
walk
much
over there and look at this rock.
That's pretty much what it
No.
ended up being.
It wasn't infinite. It was effectively infinite.
Effectively infinite.
Like quadrillion planets or something like that.
Yep. I have coworkers. I had coworkers before it come out, like just like come talk to me and be like, "No, you just don't understand. It's gonna be like gaming's gonna change forever after this." I'm like, "Okay."
If you die, No Man's Sky.
I'm holding out for Star Citizen for that, but I don't think. Yeah, I never believed that No Man's Sky was gonna be as hyped or as good as it was hyped to be, because the hype was just ridiculous near the end.
It was.
Well, I feel like hype can be made so easily these days, and all it takes is just the right trailer or right presentation to just make people go crazy for anything, and it just turns out being just not that great or as good as people made it out to be.
Well, it's because we're allowed to call things in engine when it's really not. Like, I mean, it's in engine, but it's like a special, tailored. All of the everything is focused on this one direction, perfectly rendered.
Yep, exactly.
Nothing's ever gonna look that good, and like they take out all the shots of like the weird randomized aliens that walk upright, like with the that have like the little derpy arms walking around. Like.
My favorite video of that is when it plays like the Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park theme with the recorder.
It's a beautiful thing.
That's a great video. And it's just, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I imagine. Do you think that studio is going to recover from this, or?
Yes, I think that.
Do they have any like DLC planned, or?
Well, they've released a pretty big update that allowed like base building and stuff like that. And apparently, it is a lot more fun now. But
I think gamers have really bad short-term memory loss problems, and so by the time the next game comes out, I think they'll be a lot more muted on their marketing, but hopefully they'll deliver something great, and then no one will care the fact that Hello Games' name is on it.
So I think. Sorry, go ahead.
I was it's pretty much exactly that. Like people will just, they just have to be better and more quiet with their marketing and just hope they have a cult hit rather than trying to have an explosion of marketing, and then because that just obviously backfired so much.
The amount of hype for me actually reminded me of Fable when it first came out, and the stuff that Peter Molyneux was saying about what Fable was going to be. And I'm like, this sounds amazing, but I mean, like, we've never had a game that in depth before. And then, of course, it was just an average. I mean, it was fun, but and then they did it again with Fable 2, and then again with Fable 3, and I'm like, when are people gonna stop falling for this crap?
but love is how you control the game, Trent.
Yes,
it's all about love and your connection of with these characters, and we want you to actually love these characters by interacting with them. Yeah,
love the characters I created.
That was a big part of my whole Fable 2 rant back in the Gamer Rants days.
I loved Fable 1.
I also loved Fable 1.
After that, it kind of got crappy.
I will admit that Fable 2 is overall a good game, and same with Fable 3. I was just really, really salty after Fable 2 and it glitching out and having to restart the game 4 times.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So I was more salty about that than anything, but it was an overall still good game. People still like talk to me and be like, "Oh, you really hate Fable." I'm like, "No, I don't hate Fable. They're really good games." I was just really salty at that particular moment, so I made a video about it. It was Gamer Rants for a reason.
I just never was a fan of how Western RPGs are, where you have the silent protagonist and everyone's kind of just deciding stuff for you, and it's
Chicken
like,
chaser.
Oh, look at you! Aren't you happy to be here?
You just gonna stand there like a lemon.
Would you go over there and do this task for me, and I'll give you 5 gold? Like, it's always just they tell you everything, and you just kind of respond with like a nod or a. And I just that's what I don't like about Western RPGs.
Bob, I like Western RPGs much more than JRPGs now. Skyrim and Mass Effect and KOTOR,
Dragon Age, The Witcher.
Yeah.
3.
Only 3.
Just that one.
Not the other ones.
I don't like the other 2. I'm sorry.
Me neither. But I've told that story on the podcast already. All these games can which be found on Steam. And speaking of Steam,
oh boy,
I'm so good at transitions. Amazon is thinking about starting its own quote unquote Steam store. Its own digital PC gaming distribution system.
Really?
Get ready to install another client, Trent.
God.
I personally am excited because we've already kind of talked about the fact that I don't really care the fact I have to have multiple clients. But the biggest negative thing about the multiple clients right now, is that Origin is made for EA games. Uplay is made for Ubisoft games. Battle.net is made for Blizzard games, but Amazon, as of right now, doesn't make any games. And so if they were literally just if they were creating a storefront, the thing that they would need to do to get people to buy from their store would be to be competitive with Steam, aka better prices, better sales, better customer service, and a bunch of other stuff. All the other ones would be like, you have to come to us to play our games, so to speak, versus Amazon, which would be like, we're going to get you a better value. For example, Amazon has a system which I unfortunately don't really use because I'm not a console gamer anymore, but if you buy any game on release date or within the first 2 weeks, you get 20% off, and it doesn't work for digital games, like we have on PC. It only works for physical copies. But what if, they made a store where, like, guess what? Every single game you pre-order is $48 rather than the $60 if you have Amazon Prime,
That'd be interesting. Also, to throw a little wrench in your Amazon doesn't make games, Amazon actually has a game studio.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I just decided to Google it just out of curiosity. They have Amazon Game Studios. They have 3 games that they are working on right now: Breakaway, New World, and Crucible. And I mean, you can't really tell much just from splash art, but
yeah,
it's interesting. There's an article from The Verge in 2015 saying that they are trying to become a full-fledged game developer.
That's cool. I think that if they release their games exclusively on their own store, that'd be a mistake because they need to prove themselves as game makers before they try to pull that, in my opinion. But, I think competition with Steam is good. And so
let's see. In addition to acquiring Killer Instinct developer Double Helix last year, Amazon has also hired notable developers like Kim Swift, designer of Portal, as well as Clint Hawking, who previously worked on franchises like Far Cry and Splinter Cell. That's pretty cool.
Talent there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, lots of potential.
Fortunately, they licensed the CryEngine. Wah, wah.
Well, then, rest in peace, Amazon Studios.
Oh, maybe they could just buy it from them and turn it around.
Yeah, there you go.
That company's not going to work. Let's see.
Have you watched any CW shows lately? Are you all caught up?
I've started back in. I haven't caught up yet. I've watched Supergirl and Flash and Riverdale.
Ah, dang! I really wanted to talk about a moment in Legends of Tomorrow.
I'm halfway into it.
Okay, so you probably seen it. It
Was
was
it the
probably
very
the most.
beginning?
It was close to the very beginning. Yeah. It was probably like the most cringe-tastic line delivery I've ever seen in a show in a very very long time. But have you seen the moment when George Lucas is there along with Rip? It's like right after they're doing the movie. Have you seen that part?
With George Lucas.
Okay, I guess you haven't seen enough of the episode yet.
Well, no, I've seen him like in his studio working on the movies.
Yeah.
Was that supposed to be? Was that supposed to be George Lucas?
Yeah.
Oh, I totally missed that. I was watching it this morning while I was kind of out of it. So
Okay, well, maybe you haven't seen the part yet, but there's a part where, I mean, I would consider this a minor spoiler. So if you don't mind, I'll continue. I mean, it's just probably what happens in the next 5 minutes of you watching the episode.
yeah, go for it.
Okay, so the Legion of Doom kind of confront Rip, in his current director's form, and they keep telling him like, we're coming to get you, Rip, or something to that matter, and he's like, what are you talking about? I'm not Rip. I'm this person. I'm a movie director, and like he spends his time like trying to convince them that he's not Rip and that he's a movie director or some nobody, and they're not really buying it. And then right at that moment, the legends show up, and then like I think it's Sarah, and she's like, "Look, it's Rip. We're coming for you, Rip." And then like Palmer is like, "Don't worry, Rip. We got you, buddy." Like. Like it's so cheesy and like so out of nowhere and so like I don't know, just pay attention to delivery when you watch it, because like I know what they were trying to do, but it came off like
It sounds painful.
so bad, and like oh man, like it was bad. It was really
Nice.
bad.
What did you think of the return of Supergirl and Flash? I thought they were really, really good episodes.
The return of Supergirl in Flash?
No, and Flash. Like,
oh, and I'm like, did I miss something? Did Supergirl show up?
Ruh-roh, spoilers! No, just kidding.
No, I thought they were fine, I guess. Flash is getting a little bit on the ridiculous side for me. I guess I would say it's going down. It's not to the realm of like bad yet, but it's still just like I don't know if I like where this is going. Like how many arguments they're gonna have with Wally about like he's not ready yet.
Well, I think they finally put that to rest this episode, didn't they?
You think, but wait till we're talking about it next week.
Just
timestamp. We're like what 58 minutes into this podcast. We'll go
40.
back and I'll replay it, and next time it happens.
I don't know, man. I finally feel like the season is curving in a different direction, which is good. I mean, they're the whole future storyline and the age-old time travel question: can you change the future, or is it fixed? Which I guess they said is changeable, but.
And they kind of redeemed it in the end, but I'm really tired of Cisco being a jerk. Like he's just been a whiny jerk the whole season, and in the end he's like, but it's me knowing this show, he's probably gonna go back to being a jerk again for the whole season, with small little redeeming moments. So we've seen to run in a little bit of technical difficulties here, and we've actually lost Nick, but he wanted to send his love for all of you fans out there, and he wish he could have been here for the rest of the podcast. So may he rest in peace.
Well, he's not dead.
You don't know that.
Touche, but I hope he's not dead.
I hope you're not dead, Nick.
Everybody pray for Nick. So I was going to ask you about Supergirl after we start talking about Flash, because apparently you just hate Flash way more than I do.
I don't hate Flash. It's going down in quality, and like I said, it's not even close to Legends of Tomorrow or Arrow levels yet. But
okay. So what do you think about Supergirl?
Supergirl was okay, I guess.
What?
I was a little excited for this episode because it was directed by Kevin Smith, and I love Kevin Smith, and I actually went and saw him a couple weeks ago. and he talked about this episode a little bit in advance. If the name of the episode was called Supergirl Lives, which is a reference to one of his most famous comedic stand-up things ever, and that's him talking about his work on the movie Superman Lives that never ended up coming out.
Ah,
Even the Thangarian snare beast that someone references in the episode is a reference to that stand-up comedy. Because in the stand-up comedy, there's this really eccentric producer who, and it's a true story, but he's just really good at telling the story. But the producer like talks about how like he wants Superman to not wear the suit. He doesn't want him to fly ever in the movie, and he wants him to fight a giant spider at the end of the movie. and it's this whole stand-up. You really, I honestly, it's only like 20 minutes long, but it's really really funny. And so but he's like, but don't call it a spider. And then like Kevin Smith's like, well, I guess I could call it a Thangarian snare beast or something like that. And he's like, good, we'll call it that. And so them just saying Thangarian snare beast in the episode was a callback to that.
oh, okay.
It was pretty fun.
I gotta admit, when I saw the title of the episode, when I watched it, I was like, this doesn't. I mean, was she? It didn't make any sense to me. It's like, was she in threat of dying? Was she like
Yeah,
missing? Like, I guess she was kind of missing for a second. But
I'll send you that stand-up thing. It's only like 20 minutes long. It's pretty funny though. But and also the teenage girl in the episode was Kevin Smith's daughter.
oh, okay, that's pretty cool. See,
You know,
all the
you know
stuff I
who
didn't even
is,
know.
right?
Huh?
You know who Kevin Smith is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
But overall, it was an okay episode, I thought. I
really
don't
liked.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't really know where the season is going
Oh, I have no idea.
and what they're trying to do, so to speak. So
Yeah, I thought the Mama Luther story was going to go on much longer, but apparently they're like, and we're done. I'm like, okay. I mean, we know that there's like a musical crossover coming up soon, which they referenced in the Flash episode. I don't know if you heard that.
yep, my girlfriend is like over the moon excited for that episode.
Did you catch the reference in Flash when they talked about the Music Meister?
Yeah.
So that's interesting, and
Yep.
I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I like Darren Criss a lot, so it'll be fun to see him back with Melissa Benoist and Grant Gustin singing. So that'll be fun.
All of you Glee fans excited for your
Yeah,
reunion special.
Tiny Glee reunion.
I'm sure it'll be very entertaining. If it's anything like the Buffy episode, then...
You don't like the Buffy musical episode?
No, I said I'm sure it will be great if it's anything like the Buffy episode.
Oh, okay. Sorry. For some reason, I thought you said it. But if it's anything like the Buffy musical episode, I was
like, if it's any caveat, I thought the music in Glee was great. I just thought the characters were annoying as hell. So
yeah. That about sums it up.
well, good. So
I never got you to finish it, did I?
No.
Yeah.
That'll never happen.
Maybe.
Season 1 was enough for me, and everyone says that was the best. So
no, Season 3 is the best.
Yeah. Okay.
Trust me. No, trust me.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I trust you that it's the best. I'll take your word for it. I have no desire to seek out an opinion of my own on the matter.
I don't know. Maybe after I watch like your 15 shows, whatever you want me to see, then I'll make you watch Glee.
Deal.
Cool.
If you manage to make it through all those shows. I was actually talking with TK the other day, and he was like, "You actually got Trent to like sit down and finish a show?"
Shut up.
He's like, "That's impossible."
It's not impossible. I've done it before. I watched Castle to the end. All right.
Good job. You did it.
I've seen all of Star Trek Voyager and Deep Space Nine.
Uh-huh.
I have something to say.
Oh, hey, it's Nick.
He's back.
You're alive. We thought you were dead.
Nah.
The reports of his
Super
death.
Nick is alive.
The reports of his death have been greatly exaggerated.
Supergirl lives.
Just give me one moment real quick.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll just give you my thoughts about Supergirl real quick. I thought it was fun, and I loved Wynn's line about being the red shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I thought that was funny.
Sorry for that gross cough.
And I thought it had just enough James Olsen, which was like 2 minutes.
That is true. I will give you that. It's probably the best episode this season because he only had 2 minutes of it.
Yeah.
Which is sad that
All
it's got to this point because he was
sorry.
a character I really, really liked
Yeah,
initially.
I just hate Vanguard so much.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
I just now watched the mid-season last
The mid-season
episode
finale.
of the mid-season last week. I still haven't seen the season premiere.
The last of the mid of last year's.
It's weird.
TurboGrafx EX3.
Super Smash.
But just like what Ryan said, I don't know where the series is going. Every episode just seems to be some new little adventure, and it's not really going anywhere. And there's no characters to really invest in. Monel's kind of cute, but he's just like reacting to everything like, oh, so this is what the human world is like. Just
Yeah, that's
some
true.
stupid.
Well,
It's
they
like-
they gave a little tiny taste of it this week, which I guess you haven't seen yet. When they go to the alien planet, do you care if we talk about it, or do you want to wait until you've seen it?
I'm gonna watch it tonight. So I still have faith in the series. I'm not totally hating it. It's just I don't see a point continuing the series. It's enjoyable, but nothing is really drawing me in.
What does Alan think?
Alan thinks the same thing. He likes kind of the like when the actress for Wonder Woman was on. That was pretty cool. And just paying homage to the whole Star Trek Lizard Man episode. It's neat, but are they trying to make the series go on? Because right now it just feels like,
oh, it's the CW. These shows are going to go on forever.
Well, I mean, they've been renewed. I don't know if you guys saw the news for that, but
yeah. But yeah, this is a series that's going to go into the double-digit seasons. All of
with the
these
kind of
superhero shows.
well, I mean that's something like Supernatural.
Yep. This
I don't like
is
this kind of
show that
storytelling.
never dies.
Supernatural
Yes,
could
it
go.
goes on
Just
and on.
stop.
Supernatural could go to 15 and 20 for all we know.
Yep.
Like the geriatric brothers hunting vampires at some point.
Yep. Soon they'll stop being good-looking in like 50 years.
Supergirl meets Arthur. And
I wonder if they're ever going to do like a Supernatural and the CW DC universe crossover of some sort.
No, I hope not.
I bet
I
you
think-
it will happen.
No.
I wouldn't mind like a Supernatural crossover with like Friday the 13th or like
That
Nightmare
already
on Elm
happened.
Street. No, that didn't count.
Supernatural could do a crossover with Riverdale. That'd be fun.
Ooh, Riverdale. I actually
Did you watch it?
I'm actually liking this. Yeah, we saw the episode last week.
Are you
Wasn't it
really
really
about
good?
this? Is I don't really know anything about the show.
Okay, so technically it's a show about a comic book. So there's an in for nerds. Yeah, it's based on the
Hey,
Archie
that's neat.
comics. Archie, Veronica, Betty, what's his friend's name? Jughead?
Jughead.
Something like that. Yeah. But it's a new CW show. It's kind of like the spiritual successor to like Gossip Girl or like those kind of like teen soaps, but it's actually like there's a murder mystery angle to it. There's
It's a little like Twin Peaks.
yeah, a little bit. It's really good so far. Like they did a good job introducing the characters and showing you information about their backstories without it being heavy in exposition. And of course, everyone's beautiful, so because it's the CW. But like the acting was actually good, and the story is good, and there's
Really
enough
good.
mystery surrounding everything that I'm really excited to see where it goes next. So I'm excited.
If you don't mind me kind of hijacking the conversation into a different direction, you mentioned Twin Peaks, Nick, and I kind of tried to talk about a little bit about it last week, but I mentioned that you had let me borrow like the season 1 DVD a long time ago, and I finished season 1 and liked it, but never got season 2 since she didn't own season 2. And so for me, in preparing for the new season coming out this year, I was going to go back as soon as I was done with Luke Cage and watch season 1 and 2 of Twin Peaks. Why don't you just take a few minutes and give your thoughts on Twin Peaks as a whole, and if you're excited for the new season or anything like that?
Well, first off, David Lynch, if you're familiar with any of his movies like Mulholland Drive, Eraserhead, Lost Highway, he's a really surreal director, kind of like M. Night Shyamalan, but David Lynch would be a person that M. Night Shyamalan would be inspired by. Twin Peaks, the series, was his first TV series, and it's the first season. Sorry, the first season is filled with lots of mystery, lots of who did it, who's really behind the scheme of things, while at the same time it's just a really awkward show. And the first season really draws you in. The second season, it's longer, and I'll say this, it kind of wraps up everything you need to know by mid-second season, and after that, they just kind of have filler at the end. And it doesn't know where it really wants to go. And at that point, the series ended. And after that, the only thing that they had ever that related to Twin Peaks was Fire Walk With Me. It was a movie directed by David Lynch. And it just shows all that happened before the events in the first season of Twin Peaks. And you pretty much see how everything came to be. And I feel like the movie just leaves you off knowing as much as you should know. Wanting to continue it, I don't think is necessary. It's been done for a while, and I think at this point, David Lynch just might trying to be reaching out to the franchise, because he hasn't done any movies since this one movie called Inland Empire, and that was back in the late 2000s, and it wasn't that big. His last real big movie was Mulholland Drive. It actually got some recognition for something in the news, because someone brought up Mulholland Drive in the news last year. And
but you're not excited at all for the new season and the fact they're bringing back the
I wanna
original cast, and the fact that there was that line in the show where you're like, that person was like, "See you in 20 years" or whatever, and then now 20 years.
I gotta brush up on the series again, because it's been so long. And when it ended, it just all my interest for Twin Peaks kind of fell, because the last episode of the second season just ends on such a crap.
I was about to watch it again.
I mean, they're continuing, so if you enjoyed the first season, definitely watch the next season. You get to see David Duchovny in drag.
Well, that's worth it all on its own.
But I think it's worth watching, at least the first season. If you can find enjoyment out of the first season and kind of look over the awkwardness of the acting, especially for that time, I think one would really enjoy the series.
Nice. Have you even heard of it before, Trent?
I've heard of it. I've never seen any of it.
Lots of supernatural and psychological movies. I think they get a lot of inspiration from David Lynch's work. If you just look at anything by David Lynch, you don't know. It's an experience. I would recommend his earlier work, like Eraserhead. Eraserhead's a good movie to start off with.
You may know it from our Happy Christmas from Gamerants video back in 2011.
Let it go, let it go. No, I'm just kidding.
Frozen will never be outdated.
You're welcome.
Frozen.
It was a beautiful
Anyway,
thing.
so yeah, I will probably have to check it out at some point. We'll see if my list ever gets low enough that I can.
I'm worried that the first 2 seasons are so old that it'll be hard for me to go back and watch them. But hopefully it works out. So what games have you guys been playing lately?
Right now, I am playing. We just actually purchased an Ark server for a group of friends, so we're playing Ark Survival Evolved. It's the survival game with dinosaurs on the island. You tame dinosaurs and use them to fight. It's
You
very fun.
spent so long thinking that you could. You didn't bother to think that you should.
Oh, we absolutely should. So that's been really fun. I've just been playing for a few hours today. I got back into Sims 4 last week. They released their vampire game pack, so that's been fun to kind of use that as an excuse to get back into the Sims again.
You would.
I enjoy it. It's fun.
Vampires.
Vampire Sims. They actually put a surprising amount of detail into like the vampires have a dark form now, and so you customize both. And then there's like a talent tree that you go up, and you have to choose weaknesses to offset your powers, and you can choose which powers you get, and go in. It's surprisingly in depth for The Sims, is what I'll say. So it's been fun. It's a new little added feature to make it more
Nice.
exciting again. And then I don't know if you guys play Overwatch at all, but some friends and I got back on to Overwatch for the Lunar New Year because it's a Chinese New Year this last
Yeah, I
week.
saw that.
So they did the Year of the Rooster celebration thing, and they had a bunch of kind of Chinese and Oriental skins for different players, and they had a capture the flag, but it was capture the rooster play mode, which was really funny. So it was really fun. I think the event goes until February something, which I guess is not that long, so it's 2 days from now. But yeah.
So give me kind of your take on Overwatch. I mean, do you really enjoy it? Because I know you're not really a shooter person much.
Oh yeah, I'm terrible at shooters. I like it. It's really fun. I like that the characters are all very different. So it's not like everyone, in CS:GO where you just all have the mostly same type of guns and everyone gets killed in one shot. I like that it's very forgiving as a shooter, and you can have a role that a lot of other shooters don't. Like you can be a support, you can be a defense person. You can throw down a shield and help your team win by focusing on the objective and not just how many people you kill. And so that makes it a lot more relatable for people who aren't really, really good at shooters. So I think it's really fun. The funniest part of that video we did was the best Battleborn game Overwatch, best Overwatch game Battleborn. Like that. I thought that was really funny. I've never played Battleborn, but now it kind of makes me want to play that game now. But yeah, I'm overall very positive. I can only handle about an hour or two of it at any given stretch. But I recommend it to anyone.
I might have to
They
end up picking it up.
they just boasted that they have over 25 million players playing Overwatch, which is really impressive.
Yeah,
So
classic Blizzard.
good job, Blizzard. Blowing a Hearthstone and WoW out of the water now. So
It's like that zero punctuation Mass Effect 2 video that we like, where he's like, "The sky is blue,
fish
so-"
swim, birds fly.
and
Bioware.
Bioware makes good storytelling or has good
Right.
characters. So, all the same thing, but Blizzard makes successful video games.
Pretty much.
Well, right now I am playing through Mass Effect 2 still, just kind of doing my 1440p ultra wide with tons of graphics mods playthrough. However, this weekend I sat down and played like a good 5-hour chunk, and then called it a day. And then I always like to go edit the footage right afterwards, just so I can I remember like where I need to edit things out, because I edit out things like my deaths or like some of the more tedious menu stuff. And so I went to go edit it, and I saw that I had recorded about, for some reason, 5 hours of just blank white screen and
Oh
the
wow.
audio. So I was like, so I have to go through black and replay through all of it. And not to like just be a whining Nelly here, but like you can't like skip cutscenes when you're, when I'm trying to do this recording for the channel. I can't like skip cutscenes or just like quickly go through stuff. I have to go through it as if I was like a movie director, I guess I would say. Pick every single possible option in the investigate options and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
yeah, that's all right though. Like I can't complain. I'm playing my favorite game ever. So um, also still playing the Shovel Knight Plague Knight DLC. It's really good. That's kind of my sit back and just kind of relax with a controller and play for like an hour or so kind of game right now. Um, outside of that, Resident Evil 7. I know neither of you have played it, but I played it a good bit this weekend. I'm almost done. I'd say I'm guessing I'm about 75% the way through the game. It's fantastic. One of the better, scarier video games I've played in a long time. I'm a big Resident Evil fan from the classic days. I've played all the Resident Evil games, at least all the mainline ones, not the weird ones like that new Umbrella Corp shooter that came out. But this game, it's classic Resident Evil at its heart, which is I think what thing that makes me love it so well. I mean, it basically takes place in a big mansion. You have keys that are very just a certain type of key that um, you can open up a lot few doors in the mansion and go through them, and you solve puzzles, and you have a limited item inventory that you have to manage and manage the low amounts of health and ammo, and it's just very very classic Resident Evil. It just happens to take place in the first person, but that doesn't mean taking out the monsters are any easier because you can aim very well, because they still take a lot of hits, and again with your limited ammo you have to really make the choice if you want to just like run away or try to make a stand. And it has got me as far as jump scares go, so I'm really
Are the
excited
deaths
to.
gruesome? Are the deaths gruesome?
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're not as gruesome as they have been, or any more gruesome, but yeah, there's some gruesome deaths.
Woo!
And there's just some like kind of saw-ish moments that are probably more gross out that you have to do during the course of it. So don't want to give too much away because Nick, I'm pretty sure you'll play it. I highly recommend it, especially since you're also a long time fan of Resident Evil, right?
Oh yeah,
You
I
guys
played
can.
the first one I ever played was I played the director's cut first on PlayStation 1, and I've always just been drawn to the series. I've always been drawn to the eeriness of it, how violent it is, how like how laughable a lot of the voice acting is. Like there's just a lot of camp to the Resident Evil series that I've always really liked, and I'm hearing a lot of really good things about 7, and I'd like to check it out. I'd like to play 6. I have never played Resident Evil 6.
I actually
And
really enjoyed 6. It gets a lot of bad negativity around it, and for good reason, because it tried to be so many things. Because I played it through with Andrew, and at first, like when we started playing it, we had just come off like playing Dead Space 3, which has a lot better controls, and just kind of plays better overall than the newer Resident Evil games. So we were kind of making fun of it as we were playing through it, co-op, just like making fun of how bad it is and stuff like that, especially since reviews hadn't been kind to it. But kind of like as we started playing it more and more, and also like the story is really confusing at first because there's 3 entire different campaigns in the game, and they all kind of intersect with each other, almost kind of what I said actually about the Marvel games earlier. And when one thing happens in another, like you'll see one side of one thing and one side of another. So when you just play through one campaign, you're just like, what is going on? Like you have no idea what's going on. But as you play through the other campaigns, you kind of get a grasp or sense of the entire story. They're trying to tell this big story from essentially 6 different characters perspectives. It actually ended up being really good. Like definitely not as good as 5 or 4, definitely, but like it was really, really fun. I really enjoyed it. And if you want to play it co-op, Nick, if you do ever get it, I'm totally willing to do that. So
Cool.
Well, you guys let me know how that goes. I will not touch that game with a 10-foot pole.
Oh,
as with all scary games with Trent,
I don't do scary games well. I'm sorry.
that's fine.
sorry.
They're not for everybody. People are actually saying it's really good in VR as well. It's kind of the first AAA game that has made use to where you could play the entire game in VR.
F that especially.
Yeah. And people are saying it works the whole time, like the way the game is. Like people are playing it through entirely in VR and being fine, and not like getting super tired or super nauseous or too super scared that they have to stop. So that'd definitely be something for me to try if I ever get a VR headset. So what would you say your favorite Resident Evil game is, Nick?
My favorite Resident Evil. What would you say is yours?
I got to go with 2. It was the first one I played. I played 2 first before 1. Not just because it was on Nintendo 64, but maybe. But I love 2. Like I played that game over and over and over and over again because I wanted to unlock like the 4th survivor mission, I think it was called, and the tofu thing. Like the tofu one was ridiculous. I think you had to beat the game in like under 2 hours and get like an A ranking and stuff like that. So I pretty much completely memorized that game, and especially at the time, the fact that you could play as Leon or Claire, scenario A, scenario B. It was essentially quote unquote 4 different games in one, even though they took place in the same thing. And for Trent, if you don't know this, you could choose to play as like Leon or Claire first, and then you play through the game. And then there's a kind of established trend here. Once you finished Leon A, like you chose to play as Leon first, you would play as Claire B, where you'd play through basically the way that Leon A's story happened, but from Claire's perspective. But then you could also choose to play Claire A, Leon B, where you play as Claire first, and the story more quote unquote centers around her, and then you play as Leon from her story's perspective. So a lot of different ways to play through the game and experience survival horror. So between that and I really adored the story at the time. And just the gameplay was solid. It was scary, and I was probably 12 or 13 when I first played it, so like it just blew my mind that a video game could do that. So that would probably be my favorite.
Definitely my most memorable one would be 2. Because I remember first getting it for the PlayStation 1 and it being 2 discs. And one game had you starting off with Leon, the other game had you starting off with Claire. And it was really different at the time. And that drew me in, and it was just so scary at the time. And like I said, it'd be the most memorable one for me. My most favorite, I think, would have to be 4.
Really?
And it had to be for the GameCube version. It worked a lot much better on GameCube. When I played the PS2 port, it looked different, it played different, and it just didn't hit me the same way it did for GameCube.
Like the weird like pre-rendered cutscenes. So
yeah, it was gross, and I enjoyed the GameCube version a lot more. And like the thing that I really loved about it was the Mercenaries mode, because the Mercenaries mode, I'm always really just competitive about like getting the best score, and I love that about Mercenaries mode. I always wanted I wanted the top score. I wanted to try to beat it with the best ranking, and you get to play as multiple characters. Like you play the whole game throughout the game with Leon, but when you play with Mercenaries, you get different characters to choose from,
like Wesker and his Super Punch.
Yeah, and that was awesome. I love that so much, and it offered a lot of replayability. Like after you're done with the game was already pretty freaking long in itself, and just the Mercenaries mode added so much to it. So and the Resident Evil 2 had that too, but it didn't have that until the Dual Shock release for the PlayStation.
Yeah.
That they included Mercenaries mode, and it was fun. But Resident Evil 4 for the GameCube just had more of a and Resident Evil 4 had more of a lasting appeal on the GameCube. And what were you about to say for about 5?
I was gonna say 5 had the perfected Mercenaries mode, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it was that was the apex of the Mercenary mode quality, especially that you could play it co-op.
My only problem with that is that the areas got much bigger and it started getting a little harder.
Yeah.
And just the feeling of beating it at the height, like beating it with the best score and whatnot, kind of, it wasn't that big of a deal to me at that time because I wasn't drawn into 5 as much as I was into 4. 5, I didn't like the co-op mechanics. I think co-op kind of destroyed the series at that time. It wasn't really what I wanted. It was fun. It was fun playing with you guys, but in the long run, I felt like co-op was just a gimmick at that time. Everyone just wanted co-op. Every game had to have co-op in some way or form, and like I would have just rather like a really full-fledged single-player experience.
Yeah, it definitely pushed Resident Evil more actiony than survival horror, unfortunately. Right. And I really like what you said about 4. I mean, 4 is definitely my close second, and that's why I would recommend 7 so much. Because like 4, it was a reinvention of Resident Evil to be what Resident Evil needed to be at that particular time. When the days of Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil Code Veronica were kind of getting old and stale and outdated, and then we needed to release 4, and so I think then with 4, then 5, and then 6 kind of going down a darker path. It was time for them to reinvent themselves, and I really think they did in 7, and they did it remarkably. So that's why I couldn't recommend it more, especially for you, Nick. But we probably need to wrap up here. We're going a little bit over there, especially with the technical difficulties we had earlier. So I want to thank everybody for listening to another episode of the Brief Nerdity podcast. You could always, as always, you could reach us on our website, briefnerdity.com. Be on the lookout for my final thoughts on Resident Evil 7 once I finish it. Be sure to check us out on YouTube if you listen to us on audio. Especially, we released our 2016 Brief Nerdy Game Awards. Definitely check those out. We've already kind of mentioned them here. And then, of course, on social media like Twitter and Facebook. Definitely check us out. So, once again, thank you all for listening. We love you all. You're the best fans ever.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Later.